welcome back. It's Emilio DiSpirito, and we're here today in the studios, of course, with Melissa Delano with Delano Law. And Melissa, I know you wanted to touch upon the buyer's closing process, because there's a lot of buyers out there, you know, when they're going to purchase property, the worst thing I see is that they just jump right into it. They don't even have a realtor per se. They don't know who their attorney is going to be. They leave it at mercy of whatever happens. And with me, when I'm purchasing or spending $250,000 or $500,000, I want to know that I have the right people on my side.
Absolutely. I think having the right team in place as a prospective buyer is the most crucial thing to be prepared for. Mm-hmm. And the way to do that is certainly to start with a realtor who knows the market that you're looking to purchase, having a finance company that you've already been pre-approved with, and having an attorney that you can speak to about any of the legal questions you have leading into the negotiation, the purchase, and certainly for the title.
I think the worst thing that I see buyers do is they use a friend of the family either as their realtor, their mortgage broker, or their attorney. And it's the worst when it's the realtor or the attorney that they use as a friend of the family, because oftentimes their realtor is part-time. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know about the market. And then the attorney is not a real estate attorney. Now, look, real estate is not rocket science, but at the end of the day, there's so many new regulations. There's so many new forms.
Definitely. I think having a seasoned expert in that field really is important, although lots of people will think that it's a good idea to support a friend or a family member in their career. You know, I've often said I'm not going to go see a foot doctor for a heart surgery. It's not much different. You want someone who's an expert in that industry so that you know this is a real estate attorney and someone that knows the ins and the outs. This is a real estate agent who has the expertise to assist. And we do often cringe when there's a family or a friend involved, because sometimes those people aren't the best advocates.
Advocates. Absolutely. I mean, the worst thing is, like, so when I see an attorney I've never heard of before in real estate come to the closing table, and when they're wearing glasses and they put the glasses down on their face, you know, on the tip of their nose, and they're looking at paperwork like, what is this? And it's page one. Oh, man, I know we're in for a long haul.
Long closings are the worst. I mean, buyers are nervous enough about what they're signing, and as you mentioned, taking on a substantial amount of financial debt. So we want to make certain that the closing process is easily digested so that we're giving them sort of sound bites as to what does this mean? How can you understand these documents in a layperson's way without being overwhelmed with legalese? Because those documents are overwhelming.
Oh, there's a lot of them. You know, and
about 100 pages is the average closing package.
100 pages, that's a book. So in different loans, like conventional, which could be 3%, 5%, 10%, 20%, guys, in different loans, they're different sizes. Okay, FHA, which is Federal Housing Administration, those loans are fatter than. Are they like 100 or 120?
That would be probably closer to the 100 range. Some of the more conventionals can be a bit shorter.
Okay,
but a lot of the loan packages still have the same guts, and you know that's why it's important for the buyer to understand ahead of time what they can expect out of the closing, what kinds of documents they're going to be signing. These are legal agreements that they're obligated to follow for as long as they have the loan. So that's why I think having an attorney involved at an earlier point in the closing process makes the most sense, so that they have someone they can ask those questions of. Yeah,
definitely. And also, you know, it's a different kind of thing than say a defense attorney or somebody, because every time if they have a question, they can call your office and they're going to get answers, and that's all wrapped up into the service. There's no extra fees for that.
No extra fees. We're transactional attorneys, so we charge a flat rate regardless of if I talk to you once or if I talk to you 10 times. And I do often say to clients when they're pricing us and say, well, what do you charge versus another attorney down the street? I said, it's about the relationship. I want you to know that you've always got an open line of communication to me directly or to my staff, who can often assist in these questions, because I might already be in a closing. We are here to serve as a resource, and oftentimes buyers do not take advantage of the attorneys at all.
We do. You know, my team and I, we do. We call Melissa whenever we have questions, because, or whenever we want her to look at contracts. Now, that's one thing that a lot of agents here in Rhode Island don't do, is they don't involve attorneys looking over the purchase and sales agreements as they do out in Massachusetts.
Right.
And, and sometimes I think it's good because if you get the wrong attorney marking up the thing and it just makes everybody's life a living hell. But then at other times you get somebody that knows what they're doing and they look it over. They say, yeah, this is fine. This is pretty, I don't want to call it standard, but it's pretty.
Rhode Island does use a standard sales agreement.
Yes.
But there's always times where additional language needs to be added. And
exactly.
You need to ensure that you're capturing the essence of that agreement. And as a buyer's attorney, it is absolutely normal for us to review the agreement with the client, because then I think it actually adds a little bit more formality to, yes, I'm signing a contract. I've reviewed this with a lawyer. I understand what it means. Because all too often, again, you've got plenty of people out there who don't ever read their contracts. So as buyers, they don't know what their responsibilities or rights are. So I think that's why it's important for a buyer to solidify a relationship with an attorney early in the process, even while they're shopping, so that they have someone to go to with those questions.
All day. I mean, I know that contract upside down, backwards, from last to first. I could tell you what every section is, and everybody on our team is the same way. We know how to explain that to our clients, but at the end of the day, we always give them the option. Listen, if you want to pass this by your attorney, please do, because that's their right. And I agree with you. I think that they should take advantage of that. And Melissa, can you just take us through a little bit of like the process itself?
Absolutely. So if a buyer is ready to put out an offer on a property, they're going to sign a contract. Hopefully they've had it reviewed and they thoroughly understand it. Next step is going to be filing a loan application with their lender to make sure that they're creditworthy.
Okay.
And there's lots that go into that piece, so we're going to kind of glaze over it. But certainly very important that you've got a competent lender who is getting things done quickly for you. The real estate attorney really interfaces with the lender most often, because we're the ones who are responsible for searching the title. We're the ones who are responsible for connecting with the lender and keeping them informed as to tax liabilities, if there's any title issues pertaining to the upcoming closing. So we interface more closely with the lender than we do oftentimes with the buyer.
Absolutely, and with the new federal guidelines, which they call TRID, they dubbed them TRID. Basically, you are now filling out the paperwork that the lender used to have to fill out.
Correct. Yep. So we as the closing attorney used to prepare all of the final financials. Now the lender has taken on that responsibility under the new TRID guidelines. So what we do is a little more front-loaded, where we have to just give the information back to the lender so that then the lender is able to basically do the job of the attorneys and send it back to us for a final review.
Yeah, so there was like a flip-flop there. So,
yes.
So even I just got that confused real quick, even though I've had a ton of TRID closings. So you can see that somebody that's obviously not in real estate full-time, agent, attorney, or mortgage broker, banker, you want to be careful with obviously who you choose and who you trust with your investment. So great topics, Melissa.
Definitely. And, certainly, like I said, the closing process is the time where we spend the most time with the client buyer, because we're explaining what all the documents are relative to their rights and obligations under the loan. But up until that point, the buyer is certainly welcome to reach out to their real estate attorney. Under Rhode Island state law, you're entitled to select your own title attorney.
Yeah.
So even though some banks maintain a closed list, or what they would call a closed list, buyers are still entitled to have their own title attorney at the closing, prior to the closing, searching the title. And far too often the lenders are attempting to advance their own agendas and don't tell the buyers that. So as agents, we have to, and as educators, as attorneys, we have to make sure clients are aware.
Absolutely. Good points. So if you want to get a hold of Melissa, why don't you give them your office phone number?
Sure. That's 401-885-3800.
Perfect. 885-3800. They are some of the best in the business. Your firm's been around for well over 40
years.
40 years.
Yep. Family practice.
Your dad
right
is
in East Greenwich.
Your dad is a staple in the industry, and he's one heck of a guy too.
Thank you.
He's funny. Yeah.